Hello students, welcome back to English 1 materials for today with me, Miss Mona Lisa Pasaribu, and today we'll be discussing the materials for week 2, which is the academic life. Okay, so let's start the materials for today. Now as you can see, the outline for today's material will be about the review. We'll have a very quick review on the topic that we discussed last week. And then we will also discuss about the academic life as a topic too. And then we will talk a little bit about the grammar, which is the imperative. Okay, I'm sure that some of you or most of you are very familiar with this grammar point. So let's have a quick review. So last week we were talking about the topic encounter. So I'm just going to write it down here, the word encounter. And everyone now agree that encounter means to meet someone, okay? And it makes sense actually now that the word counter, if you go to a bank or if you go to an office, counter is actually the first person or the first licensed officer that you will meet, because they will be the one who greet you and asking for your problem. So that counter word is actually coming from the word encounter, to meet face to face. Okay. Last week we also discussed about the formal and informal greetings, and then we also discussed about how to give ideas in order to initiate a conversation. The practicum session was done very good. I like it. We hope that this week and the following weeks you will be more excited in doing the practicum session. Okay, so that's for the review. Now we move on to the topic for today, academic life. Okay, now for this terminology, academic life, first thing that I want you to do is I will ask you what comes to your mind when you first hear the word academic life. Okay, my first question. What comes to your mind when you hear the word academic life? Okay, for this answer, I want you to write down your answer in the comment with the format, name, and then your student ID, nama dan student ID. Setelahnya jawaban kamu apa? What comes to your mind when you hear the word academic life? Write down the answer in the comment in the YouTube link. Okay, so that's for the academic life intro. Next, these are some of the activities in academic life. Okay, so I reckon first thing that comes to someone's mind will be about study. Okay, I reckon and I reckon most of you are going to join these activities, because if you don't study, you don't actually do the academic life. However, there's still more to go on the academic activities, not only studying. You can also do some other things. So now I want you to grab your pen and notebook and write down some of the academic activities that you know of, and then ask if you join any of these activities. I know it's a bit tricky right now because you are now in working at home or studying at home, but what do you plan? Maybe we change the question. What do you plan to join for some of the academic activities? Okay, so that is some of the questions. Put it in your notebook. Okay, next, generally, academic life is divided into three main parts. It's the study life, dormitory life, and the extracurricular life. I know I put dormitory life over here in a form of asterisk because obviously you don't have a dormitory life at the moment because you are studying from home. And so we will only talk about the study life and then the extracurricular life. Okay, and these are the academic life of Itadel students. Okay, so all of Itadel students are going to face the study life, the dormitory life, and the extracurricular life. Now let's see one by one. In the study life, the first thing that comes to my mind when you're asking me about study life will be study and do homework or assignment. That will be the life of the student. Study and do homework, do project, do assignment, and all of those activities. Okay, if you still have any other thing or any other activity for study life, you are most welcome to write it down over here. Okay, or add it in your notebook. Okay, next we move on to the dormitory life. Okay, so even though you're not living in a dormitory at the moment, dormitory is asrama, yeah. So maybe some people say dorm rather than dormitory. So not dormitory. Some people say dorm, some people say dormitory. So it's really up to you what you want to say. So dorm or dormitory life activities are most likely around room tidying, the cleaning schedule, and then also other responsibility. Okay, so most likely it will be about room tidying because you're living together with other people. Then you need, for the courtesy of all, like one of your friend mentioned, room tidying is necessary because you don't want any other your mess to be seen by other people. Okay, so that's a example of dormitory life. Again, I know you haven't experienced the dormitory life, but again, if you think that you have any other uh, activities, go ahead and write it down at the new list over here. Next, we go on to the extracurricular life. Okay, usually for extracurricular, you're joining clubs or community. Okay, so there are plenty of clubs available in Itadao. There is speech club, Scrabble club, or debate club, and we also now have a conversation club for Dell in English clubs. And then we also have students community for a department, for a prodi. For example, Himatech, Hima, I don't know, Hima Pro and something like that. Okay, and then we also have a sports club, music club, dancing club, etc. Okay, again, if you still have any other information about the extracurricular life, you are most welcome to add it in here. Okay, next we move on to talking about the rules in academic life. Why are we talking about rules in academic life? Okay, first of all, let us see the definition first. I want you to stop this recording and then go ahead and read this out loud for the definition of rules. Pause the recording now. So what are rules? Rules are the set of instruction which tells us the way things are to be done. Okay, so if you are talking about the academic life, then the instruction for academic life to do academic life is called the rules for academic life. Okay, so that is what we call as rules. There are some ways to create a rules. You can do many things, but here we are going to focus only on using imperative. Imperative is, if you translate it into Bahasa Indonesia, it is same or equal to kalimat perintah. Okay, so in imperative in English, there are two types of imperatives, which is the first one is positive imperative and then the negative imperative. So let us have a look at what is the meaning of positive imperative. If it is positive imperative, then you need to put a verb directly to the and then plus the object and then the complements. Same thing with the negative imperative. You put don't or never to indicate the negation. So for example, don't or never plus verb 1 plus object plus the complements. So the example over here is clean your room twice a week, or don't bring your phone to the class. So these are some of the rules in examples in academic life. Okay, so now we are going to move on to how to formulate rules from a text. Okay, so Obviously, if you're talking about formulating rules from a text, you need to read the text first in order to understand what the text is, and then you can extract the rules from a text. Now, I want you to pause this recording again, and I want you to read the text out loud by yourself, and then after that, underline which one you think is the rules according to this text. Okay, so pause this recording now. After you finish identifying the rules from this text, what you can do first of all, you need to read it, of course, yeah? And then after that, once you have read the text, you need to underline the words that you think is containing the rule. And then after that, I want you to formulate the rules into imperative. Now, how would you formulate the rule according to the text? Let us have a look at the text again one more time. So, I will read it for you again, okay? In a company, the employees need to follow the rules that they need to come to the office based on the time required by the company. Besides, they need to wear the uniform that the company gives to them based on the schedule. So if you see over here, there are actually two bolded sentences that is being identified in this text. So let us have a look at one by one. They need to come to the office based on the time required by the company. For this one, what you need to do first, you need to identify which verb do you think you can use to start this rule. Okay, do you think need, or do you need come, or required? If your answer is come, let me underline it over here. If your answer is come, yep, you have the same answer with me. So you start for the rule number one, you start with the verb come. Okay, and then if you go to the second sentence, they need to wear the uniform that the company gives to them based on the schedule. Now, the next thing that you need to do, identify the verb that you want to start with as the rule. Do you think it's need? Do you think aware? Or do you think gives? If your answer is where, I'm just going to underline it over here. If your answer is where, then yes, you have the same answer with me. Okay, so if we then formulate the imperative sentences based on this text, so the first one is, come to the office on time, wear the required uniform on schedule basis. I know some of you may be confused. This one says come to the office based on the time required by the company, miss. Why you are modifying it into this? There is nothing wrong if you're saying come to the office based on the time required by the company. I'm just simplifying it into this, but if you're writing the sentence like this is also correct. What is not correct if you put to come to the office based on the time required by the company, because if it is a rules in imperative, you cannot start with the word to. Okay, if you start with the word to, then it's definitely a wrong pattern of imperative. Okay, I hope this is quite clear for you. Same thing like number two. They need to wear the uniform that the company gives to them based on the schedule. You can always say wear the uniform that the company gives to them based on the schedule. I am simplifying this sentence into wear the required uniform on the schedule basis. So both of these has the same meaning with the imperative sentences over here. Okay, I hope this is clear to explain to you how you can formulate rules based on the text, because after this we're going to have a practice. So the next slide will be talking about longer text. Okay, so first of all, what I want you to do is I want you to read the following passage about the rules in study life, and then I want you to formulate some of the rules according to the passage. What you need to do first is to read the text and then identify some words that you think can begin the imperative, and then after that go to write down the imperative itself. Okay, so have a look over here. Rules in study life. Again, pause this recording, read this text by yourself out loud, and then after that, identify which one you think is rule, and then identify the verb that you can put as the imperative for these sentences. Okay? Same thing like the activity with dormitory life and the extracurricular activities. So with this, I want you to take notes, and then after that, write down the answer in the notebooks, and then after that, we will discuss the answers in the practicum session. The last thing that I want you to do is this one. As an individual practice, and because you are someone who are just starting to study in higher education, so what I want you to do is I want you to formulate 10 rules for self-study for higher education students. Like for example, study by yourself. Maybe that would be one of the rule for higher education students, because obviously your lecturer is not going to spoon feed you all the time. You need to study, you need to initiate your study by yourself. So that's just the example. Study by yourself more often. I'll just write it down here. Pardon my handwriting. Study by yourself more often. Okay, this is 1. Okay, I already helped you with 1 number, and now I want you to continue with the next number until number 10. Okay, so we will discuss the answers in the practicum session, of course, and I will ask you to post these answers in the discussion forum in e-course later on. Okay, so that would be the end for this meeting. Just a very quick checklist. I want you to assess your progress in this unit. I can understand how to formulate rules related to academic life. I can understand imperative. And I can also design rules for self-study. I really hope that all of you can check this, make a checklist for all of this, because if you really study or if you really listen to this video, then you should be able to answer, to get all of these answers correctly. Okay, so that should be all. For next week, we will talk about home industry company. Okay, again, if you have question, you are most welcome to ask me in the group, WhatsApp group, and I am available through online discussion as well. Thank you very much. Here are the references, and looking forward to seeing you in the practicum session. Goodbye.